I know it might sound overly simplistic, but one of the reasons I've seen people not succeed at podcasting is because they overcomplicate things, and they're building so many different things at one time where they can't keep up with everything and they get super overwhelmed. Podcast Growth Nation, welcome back to another episode of Podcast Growth University, where we talk all things podcasting all the time. I hope you enjoyed the latest episode. It was episode number 52, Is Being Obsessed with the Numbers Bad? Today, for episode number 53, as I mentioned in the last episode, keep it simple and keep it small. At the end of the day, I think a lot of us just overcomplicate the process of growth. And I know, because I am as guilty as any human being, because I didn't understand a lot of what I understand now at the beginning of this journey. One of the things I talk about very often when I'm coaching is I don't expect you to make giant leaps overnight, but I would like you to take small steps every day. I don't expect you to blow up overnight and get a bunch of clients and get a bunch of listens and get on the top charts. I don't expect that. And I definitely don't expect any level of success if we don't put one foot in front of the other every day, small step, small step, small step, small step. So this has always kind of been my thought process. Okay. When I'm thinking of a podcast, in the beginning, I'm thinking keep it as simple and as small. When I say small, I just mean the steps. Keep them as simple and as small as possible. So if you're just starting a podcast, if you're listening to this right now and you just started, first of all, congrats. That's huge. That's awesome. That's amazing. The last thing in the world I want you to do is go build an entire studio, because for most people, that's too complicated and too large. So I'm always trying to balance what is sustainable for someone, right? I have actually gone, it's been a weird trip for me. I've actually gone to people's houses and helped them build their studio. And I help them set up their equipment and their camera and all that stuff. I've also had clients who I just say, just use the webcam on Zoom and record yourself. Or use the webcam on your laptop and record yourself. Because that is the simplicity and the size of small that they should be dealing with. I don't want you to compare to people who are way ahead. I don't want you to compare to us. I want you to compare to you yesterday. Or you today, of what can I do a little bit more of. So here's my thought. When I'm thinking of social media promotion, just as an example, no promotion is level one. You have a podcast and you're not promoting at all, right? You have a podcast, so strong work. I love that. Level one is I'm not posting anything about it. I'm not consistent on social media. Okay. The simplest and smallest next step for you is to start posting a picture from each episode. Maybe you have some sort of podcast cover art that you share with the title. Maybe it's a picture of the guest, whatever it is. That's level 2. It exists, but maybe it's not great yet. But that's the simplest and smallest step for you. Now, from there, I just want a little bit of improvement, right? 1% improvements over time really stack up. So then it's make the artwork better. Get a higher quality picture of your guest. Make the font stick out a little bit more. Okay. Then you get to the point where you say, you know what? Instead of doing a social media post, just a still frame picture, I'm going to do a carousel. So I'm going to do the cover art and then the top 4 things I took away from this guest, or the top 4 things I learned from this episode. Okay, cool. That's level 3. Then from there, it's simple Zoom video that you cut and you just throw it up there. There's no music. There's no subtitles. There's no cutscenes. It's just the video. Cool. That's another level. And then eventually you get to the point where you have cutscenes and whatever you want your social media content to look like. I just think of everything from that perspective of step 1 is start a Facebook group. Then step 2 is figure out why people are there, and then figure out how to build engagement. And then you just never stop doing that. It's almost like we go into a lot of this stuff with these grand ideas that, wow, this is really going to work. Or maybe we don't think it's going to work. But I know I've worked with a lot of people who say, well, I had a Facebook group, but it didn't do anything. It's like, well, it's not the Facebook group's fault, right? Like, it's not, there's a lot of people who have successful Facebook groups, just like there's a lot of people who have successful podcasts. You wouldn't start a podcast and say, well, the podcast didn't work. There are probably things that maybe you weren't doing right. So in the Facebook group, the simplest thing is just post every day. It doesn't even have to be good content in the beginning. You're just building the habit. You're building the habit. You're building the system. Interviewing people. Keep it simple and small. Send one message per day to a potential guest. Send one message per day to a potential host that might want to have you on. I know it might sound overly simplistic, but one of the reasons I've seen people not succeed at podcasting is because they overcomplicate things, and they're building so many different things at one time where they can't keep up with everything and they get super overwhelmed. And here's the interesting thing. You could launch 10 things at the same time, but you're most likely not going to get any results in those 10 things because that's just the way it works in the beginning. Then you end up frustrated, and then you end up not wanting to do it. When in reality, the first thing you should do is figure out what is the simplest and smallest thing I could offer. So maybe it's a freebie, maybe it's a free coaching call, whatever it may be. My question for you is, are you overcomplicating this whole thing? Now, when I say overcomplicating, that doesn't mean are you working hard. Working hard and overcomplication are two different things. I love the fact that you're working hard and you're being consistent. But are you overcomplicating it from the perspective of, I'll post on social media when? I'll get guests when? I'll start the podcast or I'll start doing video when I get a new camera, when I get a better backdrop, whatever it may be. You're missing out on a ton of lessons. You're missing out on so many lessons because you have to fail forward and you have to take messy action. When I'm talking about keep it simple and keep it small, that's really what I'm talking about. It's get the reps. It's very hard to improve a social media post until you start posting on social media. One of the interesting things, this was a long time ago, but we were posting screenshots from our episodes. And I'm talking like, almost 1,400 episodes ago. This was in the early 20s when we were in episode number 21, 22, that number. We would post screenshots from our podcast episodes together. Then it was, how do I make high quality video? For me, I didn't really go simple and small. I went big and complicated. Now, luckily I could handle that and I figured out how to video edit and all that. But if that became a barrier to me posting on social media, that would have been a giant mistake. Because it's very hard to improve something that you're not currently doing.
Hey Kevin, Kim here. Just wanted to send you a video to say thank you so much for your help on creating the Peaceful Productivity Podcast. I couldn't have done it without you. I knew you'd be lots of great help with the technical aspects of getting the podcast going, but you went well above and beyond that. You helped me with the strategy and you gave me all kinds of really great support. I think the key to success in business is a great attitude, and you have that in spades. You really walk the walk. So thanks again. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.
So that really is my question. Where are the places where you're overcomplicating something that you could keep simple and keep small? I think that, there's so many ads about, get a top 100 show today and make money today and get $20,000 months today. Most of that stuff just isn't real. And it's large and complicated. But people try to convince you it's small and simple. When small and simple for you is you just get a little bit better. So now that the Facebook group is up and running, strong work, give yourself a pat on the back because that can be a giant pain in the butt to do. And there's a lot that goes into it and we're afraid. All right, cool. Now, what is the next little thing we can do? I can start posting in there consistently. Awesome. Love it. I love it. All right, cool. You are thinking about creating a freebie, okay? What is the easiest one that you can create that will actually be done? Is it a 5-step PDF? Cool, do that. Is it a 5-page ebook? Cool, do that. It doesn't have to be something amazing that connects to your email list right away. It's okay to create the outline of something before you fill it in. That is really what this episode is about, because you're always going to be filling the thing in forever. It's never going to end. You'll never get to the point where it's done. You're always going to be focused on getting a little bit better. It's something that never ends. When you have all level 1, so I got a decent microphone. We'll start here. I have a basic microphone. I'm doing basic social media. I have a basic backdrop. I have a basic intro and a basic outro and a basic trailer and no music. Okay, cool. Where do I go? You focus on improving all of those just a little bit. So you start posting on social media, even if it's not about the podcast. start researching new microphones that might be better. When the budget fits, awesome, you can do that. Or when it makes sense to do it, right? There's no reason to get a really nice microphone if you haven't gotten to the place where you really feel like you love this and you want to consistently do it. Okay, cool, we're doing that. Let me look up music to figure out what to do for my intro and my outro. Okay, how do I record those better? Let me listen to some episodes. That's really it. I've been very humbled recently when people say, what have you done to grow? Because it's this stuff every day for 6 years. If you take away the 6 years, the growth goes with it. There's no growth if you just take away the time. But it's been these very small improvements of, wow, the camera on my laptop sucks. I need to figure out what to do. Okay, cool, we got a camera. Well, the camera works really nice for recording episodes, but I need to use it as a webcam. How do I do that? Oh, there's actually equipment for that. Interesting. Okay, I moved to a new house. I want to make a studio at my house. Like, what does that look like? It didn't look like this at the beginning. Not at all. It was terrible. It was not good. I wasn't using this camera. The lighting was garbage. It wasn't good. But then we improved a little bit. Okay, cool. Then like YouTube thumbnails, titles for the episodes, audio equipment, right? All of that stuff. Just don't overcomplicate it to the point where you don't start, because you're selling yourself short if you do that. You're really selling yourself short if you do that, because you're never going to get real world results and you're never going to see how you can actually impact them. So that really is my thought for this episode. I know we live in a world where people are telling you, take massive action, do the big things, do all that happy jazz. I don't know if it's sustainable for most of us, because we're already outside of our comfort zone, getting on a microphone potentially, jumping in front of a camera potentially, where you maybe you're just treading water for that. That's okay. Break down the steps into something smaller. If you don't have a Facebook group, maybe for you, joining a Facebook group to see what kind of content they post is level 1. Awesome. If you're not posting on social media, start trying anything. You can use other people's quotes, give them credit for it, obviously, but that's a good place to start. Oh, this quote really inspired me. I'm going to share it. I'm going to tag the person. All right, we're getting on our social media stories. All right, awesome. And then from there, you just try to improve a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. I was thinking of this recently. I don't like planes, not a huge fan of airplanes, but I'll see movies or TV shows that are set in the 1970s, and I see the planes in the 1970s, and I imagine how terrifying it must have been to fly back then. And you think, how did we come so far where we have direct TV, Wi-Fi, and these planes are just wild? I mean, you hit a button and it can kind of take you where you want to go. Obviously, the pilots are amazing and they do great work, but there's an autopilot. It's interesting. It's very interesting to me. They didn't do it all at once. The longer something is around, the better it gets, but it's not necessarily because we're taking massive shifts and changes. It's because there's a lot of small shifts and changes that happen. But here's the thing. You can't make those small shifts and changes unless something exists. You cannot fix a plane until you understand that it doesn't fly. And a lot of us are doing that. We're saying, oh, I could never do that. Or I couldn't make it with the podcast. I couldn't become a coach. I couldn't make a profit, when you're not even giving yourself a shot. So I guess this is more of an inspirational episode than anything. I don't know. I felt pulled to share this because I've just seen so many podcasters quit, and it literally makes me sad. It fires me up, because when you quit, oftentimes the reason you quit is because of the results you have. But it's this weird thing where if you kept going, you would get different results. It's just very, very, very interesting. So I wanted to share that. The motto of this episode, keep it simple and keep it small. And ask yourself, where are you overcomplicating stuff? And maybe for you, you can also ask yourself, where am I keeping it too simple? Now, so here's the thing. Well, I've been posting a screenshot on social media every day now for the last 6 months. Like, all right, cool. You need to level up. Now you need to go to level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. So keep it simple and small. And then when that simple and small thing becomes a habit and it kind of becomes easy, then you level up to the next level. I get asked this all the time, and I'm grateful. I love it. How do you do 7 episodes a week? We started with 1. 1 got easy. 2 got easy. 3 got easy. 4 got easy. And it's never really easy. But now we do 7 episodes a week. I do it 1 episode a week here. I go on 8 to 10 other podcasts. I'm on, I don't know, a bunch of coaching calls, a bunch of team calls. I could never do what I do today 5 years ago. Not a chance. And if we started with 7 episodes a week, we would not have made it. But we kept it simple and we kept it small. And we kept growing a little bit every day. So that is the battle cry for this episode. As always, if you are trying to figure out what is the next simple, small, sustainable step you can take, that is a mouthful, in the journey of podcasting, I would love to guide you on a free 30-minute podcast breakthrough session, not a sales call, just going to add value. That's my ultimate goal. And anytime I get to meet someone from the community, I'm always super grateful because, as you know, as a podcaster, when your listeners and when the community reaches out, there is no better feeling. So I promise you that is what I'm playing for. I'm playing for impact. And if I can impact you in any way, you can shoot me a DM on Instagram, shoot me an email, or you can book a call, and I'm happy to hop on Zoom, and you will see me live from the studio, and it'll be wonderful, maybe a little bit weird. So, next week for episode number 54, lessons I learned from a frustrated client. I had a really, really, really deep conversation with the client the other day, and I think this client's going through what a lot of podcasters are going through. So I'm going to share my lessons I learned from that frustrated client next week. As always, keep on crushing it, keep on podcasting, keep it simple, keep it small, and I will talk to you all next week.